Before we start removing the steering wheel, we need to make sure that the wheels are straight and the steering wheel is centered. We also need to turn the ignition to off and ensure that the battery negative terminal is removed, and we've waited 60 seconds because we're going to remove the airbag unit first. It's held on with 2 bolts which are inserted through these plastic covers. We remove the cover, there's 2 bolts, 1 either side. We remove those, in this case it's a 10mm bolt. Using a socket and extension bar, undo the bolt. Once the other bolt is removed, the airbag unit is free to come out. Disconnect the airbag system. If you're walking with an airbag unit, make sure you point it away from yourself, and if you store it on the ground, store it with the airbag side pointing upwards. If the airbag side points down, then the unit will fly up into the air like a missile. We're going to remove the lock nut from the center of the wheel now, which attaches the wheel to the steering column. To stop the steering wheel turning, we'll use a large bar to lock the steering wheel. Hold that with one hand, use a ratchet with the other hand, and then just turn the nut and remove it. It shouldn't be too tight. There's no need for it to be super tight on most cars, but invariably it's very tight. Once you've removed the lock nut from the steering wheel, you'll need to pull the steering wheel off the column. If you're lucky, it will come easily with a pull. In this case, it's fairly well stuck on, so we'll need to improvise a puller to pull the steering wheel off the column. So what we need to do is to pull this steering wheel off the steering column here. And in this particular case, we have nothing to grip with a puller. There's nothing to hook behind. There's nowhere here, but we do have 2 threaded holes which are designed to screw bolts into and pull the steering wheel off the column. So that's what we're going to do. What we've got is a universal puller. We'll position that on the center and then use these 2 bolts. These are just any old long bolts. I think these are M8. Insert these into the threaded holes, tighten them down, and then I've put locking nuts on the threaded bolts. I'll be able to tighten these up, and then by tightening this center, it will pull the steering wheel off the hub. You'll see what I mean in a moment. What we've done is just inserted 2 bolts threaded into these holes that we can pull on the steering wheel with, and then we're going to push using this center bolt that pushes on the steering column. As I tighten this bolt, it's going to pull the steering wheel away from the column, and it should just pop off. And the rough way to do this is to smack it with a hammer, which is a disaster and is going to damage the steering wheel. So if you can use one of these, that's the way to go. Effortless. A puller is a super useful tool to have around. Universal puller, you can find an enormous number of jobs for it, and you can improvise for various tasks. We need to remove the connector for the horn. And we're ready to take off the steering wheel, just making sure not to pull the airbag connector as we go. Now we remove the column cover, the top just clips off. The bottom is held on with 3 screws. The steering wheel controls, or the combination switch as Mazda calls it, is held on with 3 screws, one here, one underneath, and another one underneath as well. To disconnect the combination switch, we need to remove this lower panel. It's held in with 2 screws at the bottom. We've got 3 connectors to undo, 2 at the front and 1 tucked away slightly. Absolutely huge connector held in with a keeper. To remove the connection on this big connector, we need to push the keeper through from the other side, and then using a screwdriver, twist this in and pull the keeper outwards to release the connector and then pull. We also have an airbag connector which needs to be released like this, and a little connector for the horn. And with the 3 connectors removed, we can take off the combination switch.